Hey guys, welcome back to Through the Screen. I'm Brittany.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Emily.
We hope you've been enjoying the episode so far and liking, commenting, and sharing with your friends. If you missed any of them, head on over to our YouTube channel and watch. And if you're not already, be sure to subscribe while you're there. This week, we're back with all new topics, including a special dedication to those that served our country in honor of Veterans Day. So we hope that you'll follow us once again as we join via Skype and bring you conversations through the screen.
This episode we will be discussing Veterans Day and how we can better serve those that have served for us. We will also be bringing you updates from Taiji, sharing 2 heartwarming stories of animals that have fought the odds to become heroes, reviewing veganized versions of some of our favorite meals, and finally discussing this week's Dancing with the Stars. First up, honoring those who have served and continue to serve our country.
So this week, Veterans Day was Wednesday, and we just wanted to take the time and dedicate this episode to those who have served our country and are currently serving our country, because the 3 of us are so incredibly grateful, because we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now, or any of our families, if it weren't for the people who are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for us. Veterans Day was originally called Armistice Day. Back in 1919, Woodrow Wilson made it to honor those in World War I. It marked the ceasefire that ended fighting on November 11, 1918. But in 1945, after the end of World War II, it changed to honor all veterans, not just those who served in World War I, and we have celebrated it every year ever since.
So, for my side of this topic, I chose to discuss the treatment and obstacles that veterans faced when they returned home post-war. Some of the statistics I discovered were staggering to me, but first, let me just get clear the perspective on how many veterans there are in this country. As of September of 2014, a study states that there are 2.7 million American veterans of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. This compared to the 2.6 million Vietnam veterans, and the number skyrockets to 8.2 million when you include personnel who served during any time of the Vietnam War. According to the RAND study done in 2014, approximately 20% of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans have post-traumatic stress disorder or suffer from depression. Military counselors state that the rate of diagnosis for PTSD is much higher than those with depression, and when paired with TBI, or traumatic brain injury, the number skyrockets. A comprehensive analysis done in 2014 states that among male and female soldiers aged 18 or older returning home from Iraq and Afghanistan, rates range from 9% shortly after returning to 31% a year after returning home. A review of 29 studies that evaluated PTSD found that men and women who served in Iraq and Afghanistan found rates that suggested that 5% to 20% of veterans suffer from PTSD and do not seek treatment. 50% of veterans who do seek treatment wind up with some form of PTSD diagnosis and treatment, which means that the other 50% most likely do not seek the treatment needed. A study done in the 80s by NVVR, or National Vietnam Veterans Readjustment Study, initially found that 15% of men had PTSD at the time of the study, and 30% of men had experienced PTSD in their lifetime. 19% of veterans have TBI, a traumatic brain injury. 7% of veterans have both PTSD and TBI. We compare PTSD to the everyday human population, and only about 4% of people experience PTSD. Most come from natural disasters such as car accidents or abuse. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death among veterans returning home from war, as done by a 2012 study. In this study, the American Journal of Public Health estimated 5,000 veterans die each year by suicide. But the VA suicide data report of 2012 found a much higher number. 22 suicides per day means 8,000 suicides a year. The same study also reported 11,000 non-fatal suicide attempts per year. The other major difference we as Americans see is the treatment of our veterans post-war by their homecoming towns and communities. During Vietnam, as so boldly put in the movie We Were Soldiers, Joseph Galloway, the narrator, states, "Some had families waiting. For others, their only family would be the men they bled beside. There were no bands, no flags, no honor guards to welcome them home. They went to war because their country ordered them to. But in the end, they fought not for their country or their flag, but they fought for each other." When the war on terror started in 2003, we as a nation banded together and watched as our troops marched into Iraq. We thought it was to avenge 9/11. Later, we as a nation discovered that may not have been the case, but never, and I do mean never, did we turn our backs on our troops. We supported them no matter what, no matter how we felt about the war, no matter how we felt about our president at the time, no matter what politics or background we had, Republican, Democrat, Independent, we all stood together and we all supported our troops. And that's how it should have been during Vietnam. And unfortunately, they didn't get that. They didn't get the color guard and the honor guard and the parades and their communities banding together like they should have. So we just wanted to take this time to thank every Vietnam veteran and, of course, every other veteran of every other war in this country, because like I've stated, without you guys, we wouldn't be free. Without people like you, so just thank you so much for your service.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the programs that are available to veterans. I'm going to start with a statistic. It's estimated that over the past 13 years, roughly 2.4 million active and reserve members of the U.S. Armed Forces have left military service and returned to civilian life. And, you know, after 9/11, we've seen this heightened sense of American pride, and we've had a lot of respect for veterans. Not to say that we haven't in the past, but, you know, if you compare it to something like the Vietnam War, like Charlotte was talking about, this is obviously a very extreme case, but when they would return from the war, they would get spit on and people threw trash at them because the war was so heavily protested. But, you know, today we see so much respect for our veterans. However, this country doesn't always provide them with the benefits that they need to transition to civilian life. And some of those things are, you know, finding a good home, finding employment, getting an education. There are some that have done a good job. For example, in 2009, a post-9/11 GI Bill allowed more than 1 million veterans to return to school. Since 2009, healthcare has been expanded for more than 800,000 new patients. It has also reduced homelessness and provided access to disability benefits for veterans with conditions like PTSD. Also, in 2011, the Pentagon and Veterans Affairs instituted a mandatory 40 hours of instructor-led training to help veterans adjust to civilian life. However, today, one of the biggest problems is unemployment, and we see that post-9/11 veterans still have an unemployment rate of about 10%. You know, there are various nonprofits that continue to help veterans, like Mission Continues and Team Rubicon, that, you know, help them find a sense of mission through serving their communities. And some of the things that we kind of need to do is partner more effectively with private and nonprofit sectors that are employing and supporting veterans, as well as other government agencies. So, you know, for example, the government spent about $3 billion on PTSD treatments for veterans in 2012, but there was really no data about how they've responded to treatment because there isn't a real understanding by the government of PTSD. And it lacks a consistent system. So, you know, back in the time of the Vietnam War, people really didn't talk about PTSD because it was just something that, you know, you just had to man up and just kind of get over it. But today it's a really big issue, and, you know, there needs to be more attention to it and more treatment. as well as, unemployment and, education and things like that. But, we are taking steps, but we do as a country need to continue to support our veterans. There's also service dogs that are provided to veterans. So the Veterans Affairs provides blind veterans with working dogs, but other organizations like Patriot Paws and Four Paws for Veterans also provide service dogs to veterans suffering from PTSD and other conditions or that have lost limbs. And they can come in all shapes and sizes. I actually know someone who suffers from seizures and PTSD from working in the prison system, and she has a Pomeranian, and he's just absolutely adorable. And, he lets her know when she's going to have a seizure, and dogs are just so comforting and so attentive, and they really know how to help people regardless of shape or size, because I know a lot of people think of service dogs as being like labs or big dogs like that. So, it's great that there's those kinds of programs as well to help veterans. But I just want to, reinstate the fact that, we've made some great steps to support our veterans, but we need to continue that with more programs. And as they said, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has served, is serving, and will serve, because we are very thankful for that. So this week in Taiji, we almost had all Blue Cove days. The 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th, 11th, and 12th were Blue Cove days. However, November 9th was a Red Cove. And they also finally transported the 2 captive dolphins that have been sitting there since November 3rd on the 9th, which is absolutely horrible that they just had them in the cove just waiting for their fate. But besides that, on November 9th, 2 separate pods of bottlenose dolphins were driven into the cove. 5 were selected for captivity, 3 were released, and the remaining 8 to 10 were slaughtered. And they were the first slaughtered bottlenose of the season. And so, as always, we remind you to check out the live streams, which we will link below. Just to keep up to date and see what's happening for yourself. Also, in current news, November 9th, SeaWorld CEO Joel Manby announced that San Diego parks plan to phase out killer whale performances next year, and that a new educational program would be introduced in 2017. This program supposedly features orcas in their natural settings with a conservation message to its visitors. And when I first heard the news about phasing out the orcas, I was really excited about it. I was like, yes, finally they're listening and, doing something right. But then I realized that, by phasing them out of the shows, it doesn't make them free. They're still in these little tiny concrete tanks. And it's really just a front that SeaWorld is putting up to make it seem like they're doing something good. But, they're still holding them in these tanks for people to see and see their conservation. And so, they're still making a profit. It's always for profit. And one of the quotes from the article that I read was, the theatrical production of the show in that market is what they wanted to see less of. And, I'm just over here thinking, I'm pretty sure it's orcas being held prisoner is what we want to see less of. So we will keep bringing you updates on this story, but, I thought it was a good thing, but when you really look at it, it's still just all greed.
This week we wanted to include stories that related to our overall main topic of Veterans Day. So naturally, when we discovered an article about a wounded veteran marrying his longtime girlfriend, we wanted to include it. But what makes this story even more special is the best man to Army veteran Justin Lansford was his service dog. Showing the importance of service dogs to their owners' lives is something that often gets ignored in this day and age. They share a bond that goes beyond words, they need each other, and it's a beautiful show of appreciation to his best bud. My second story is that of an injured American bald eagle who back in April was struck by a car and left on the side of the road to die when found. She was brought to Indiana's Wildlife and Creek Center to be treated for her injuries. When she arrived, tests showed collapsed air sacs and internal bleeding. Since this story happened back in April, they knew that the distressed bird was worried about her eggs or possibly young chicks who needed their mother for survival. Two eagle partners take turns hunting and caring for the young, but as humans know, one parent can only do so much. While Wildcat Creek members looked for her nest, the rest of the team rushed her recovery process so that she could get back to her young once the nest was located. They released her a little less than a week later, a quarter mile where they believed her nest to be. Many have said it is a sight to behold an American bald eagle take flight. One I, and I am sure others, hope to get the chance to witness one day.
So this week for our item of the week, we decided to each try a different vegan food. We thought this way we can kind of give you choices for things to try and like maybe see that, hey, it's not so hard to at least, eat one vegan meal a week or whatever. So I ate at a Mexican restaurant with a friend, and when I do Mexican, my favorite thing to get is fajitas. And it's super easy to make fajitas vegan because what I do is I get the peppers and onions, and then a lot of times I'll ask them for extra peppers and onions in lieu of like the chicken or steak or whatever kind of meat will come with it, and then beans and lettuce and salsa and guacamole and jalapenos, just any kind of thing that you would want in it. It's just so good, and I just love fajitas so much. So that's one of my favorite like out to eat things when I get Mexican. That's probably what I'm gonna get, and it's super flavorful. Like I don't know. And super nutritious because you're getting, like, I'm just eating all vegetables pretty much other than tortillas, so I really like it.
Yeah. I had the vegan menu. It's not really a menu. It's just like optional choices at Taco Bell. There's a Taco Bell on my campus, and I go there sometimes because it's convenient and it's pretty cheap, or at least cheaper than a lot of the places that are there. And so I had a bean burrito, and so, I took out the cheese, obviously, and I added, I told her to add potato, but she added tomato. Apparently it sounds similar. And also rice. And I thought that was really good. I could hardly taste that it was any different than a regular bean burrito. And I actually kind of liked it more because I felt like the tomato, if you like tomato, it added like a fresh kind of taste. And then I also got the Crunchwrap Supreme. I substituted beans for the beef, and then I took out the sour cream and cheese. And I wasn't sure about that one because I always swore by the original Crunchwrap, and I thought, the sour cream would make it, so much better. But I actually did like it. I would suggest putting sauce, though, because obviously without the sour cream it can get a little bit dry. But I did like it with the beans. And yeah, they have, if you go to I think it's PETA, they have like substitutions for all of that, and I will link that down below. But there's a lot of different options there, as well as many other places that you can look up, and it's super easy.
And I chose a simple pasta dish that you can make at home with spaghetti, olive oil, garlic, red peppers, Italian leaf parsley, fresh basil, and mint leaves. And you just kind of, make it like you would a regular pasta dish. You boil the pasta, you put the olive oil in a pan, you let that start to sizzle with the garlic, and you start mixing the herbs in, and just kind of like make sure that you don't burn the garlic and obviously the oil. And then, once the pasta's done, you just, put it over and then add more seasoning if you want, whatever. So it's really good. I mean, it's something I used to make as a kid. It's not something that was new to me, but I always enjoy it as like a simple pasta dish that, it took like 15-20 minutes to make at the most. So it's something that's quick, easy, and it's healthy for you. more so than having something like a meat sauce or something like that. So it's just a kind of new, improved pasta dish that, you can try, simple, easy, at home.
And that's what I think is so great about, like, just even, like, just bringing things like this to light. Because, like you said, you ate this as a kid. And when you were a kid, there's no way you were like, oh, this is a vegan pasta dish, Like, there's so many things are already vegan. Yeah, and there's so many things that are already vegan that you just don't, like, I mean, you don't call them vegan. Like, for example, Oreos. Oreos are vegan. They're not made with any animal products. You would think that they were made with dairy, but they're not. So, like, you don't go around saying, oh, these are vegan Oreos. No, they're just Oreos. Like, I don't know. I think that sometimes people get caught up on the word. And so they're like, oh, I'm not going to try that because it's vegan. But, I mean, just like the stuff that Emily tried at Taco Bell, like, she doesn't have to call it vegan Taco Bell, Like, I don't know. It's super cool. That's why I'm so glad Charlotte found something from when she was younger that she used to eat, because I don't know, it makes me happy.
Yeah, I mean, and this is something that sometimes people don't do this because they feel like it's a lot to kind of change a lot of the items in the food. That's how I felt when I was there, because there was already a really long line, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna hate me for this because I'm like making all these substitutions. But that's just something that you just kind of get used to.
Yeah, I'm over at this point.
That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to make customizations. So it's not something that you should feel bad about. You should actually feel good about it.
Healthy people do the same thing at all places. So, I mean, it's not even like it's just like a vegan thing and people are going to judge you for it. You'll occasionally get someone who is lazy and doesn't want to do their job, but they're going to be like that regardless. So don't let it bother you.
True.
But we're going to link the PETA website down below, because they teach you how to veganize, like, from a lot of places. And it's from, like, Starbucks to Taco Bell to anything else, so, like, fast food wise. And then we're also going to link below Charlotte's recipe that she used for her pasta. I don't really have anything to link below because it wasn't like a mainstream restaurant or anything. So if you want to veganize fajitas, just don't use cheese or sour cream and no meat. So, but like with everything, let us know if you try anything, and if you want us to veganize or try something for you, give us suggestions.
So this week's Dancing with the Stars was Showstopper Week. So besides each contestant's dance with their partner, they were also combined with another pair for a showstopper performance, in which each group of 4 performed their take of a famous live production. And the 2 contestants in the group had to dance without their professional partners for 30 seconds of the dance. Also in this episode, Tamar wasn't able to perform her contemporary partner dance with Val because she was rushed to the hospital with, at that time, pneumonia, or so she thought. So the judges scored her dress rehearsal tape. However, she made it back just in time to do the showstopper performance. Ultimately, Alexa was voted off this week, and I think all of us have a lot to say about this week. So we're just going to go through each dance, starting with Alec and Lindsay's salsa. So what did you guys think of this one?
So I guess for me, I always notice that Alec has no hip action. It's like the first thing I always notice in most of his dances. Especially when most of his dances consist of lifts. It kind of like throws you off, and you're like, well, okay, when he dances, he has no hip action, and all he does is lift, so why is he still there?
Right. He should not he shouldn't be there, and that's what's the even more annoying thing is, it's like, she's making the choreography for him, and it's like, she's making him just do lifts all the time. It's just weird. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of either one of them. I'm ready for them to be gone. I'm so mad that they're still there and Alexa's gone. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. America is stupid. They're not judging on dancing, that is for sure, because he cannot dance.
Yeah, I feel like America and even the judges are judging him based on what he did and not how he can dance, because he can't. I mean, as I said, what he did is amazing, but the guy should not be in the finals. He really should not. There was no content in that dance. He did not deserve 8s. He just should not be there.
I mean, there was some content, but what content there was...
I mean, that
was
he did.
very well.
Right.
Salsa is complete, all about taking hip action from the floor, like Julianne said.
Yeah.
And that was not conveyed at all throughout that dance whatsoever.
No, and even like last week, like we said, like last week there was no content to that dance. That was all her floating around.
Yeah.
And he needs to go. He needs to go or I'm going to freak out because he is terrible and I'm just ready for him to be gone.
Right.
Sorry, we know he's a veteran, but...
Yeah, I mean, not judging him as a person.
Yeah, not judging him as that. We're not judging what he did. He's a fantastic, amazing guy, but he just can't dance, and he shouldn't be in the finals, and that's just how we feel.
All right, so let's move on to Alexa and Mark.
Oh, I love their dance. I did. I thought it was, I don't know, I just really thought that it was, I don't know, like it pulled in my emotions. I thought it was kind of different than other things that I've seen them do. I don't know any technical stuff ever, but I really love their dance a lot. I thought it was really good.
Honestly, to me, it was the dance of the whole season. It was the best dance of the season by far. I felt like it showed every aspect of dance that you could possibly want, and it reminded me a lot of Julianne and Derek's Sia performance to Elastic Heart, how it kind of brought all kinds of emotion and just rawness to it. Like, when you actually feel like that rawness and that passion that she had throughout that whole dance, like Julianne said, she makes noise. Like, you can tell, like, she was in the dance, she was in the moment, she got out of her head again, and that's why she deserved that perfect score. And, I mean, literally gave everybody goosebumps, chills. Even me, and I was at home. I wasn't in the audience watching. So
yeah.
It's insane to think about the amount of just, first of all, strength it took to tell that story. Because even like she said, she had never told that story before. It was something she always feared coming out. She never wanted anybody to find out, but she always knew she was going to find a platform to tell that story, and this was the perfect moment for her to tell that story, and I was just really proud of that.
Yeah, I thought their performance was really beautiful. I loved the, like, kind of symbolism of it, that he was supposed to be her bulimia, and just, like, the push and pull of the dance and the fighting, and that she was brave enough to tell her story, and I think it was just really beautiful, and definitely deserving of a perfect score, and definitely deserving of her still being here. So I think it's just really, really sad when you kind of look back on it, but I think she did amazing. So what do we think of Carlos and Whitney?
I liked the whole door concept at the beginning. The only problem was they weren't in sync. And a few parts, like I noticed, Carlos was a little ahead of Whitney's movements. And that type of performance, it has to be flawless. Like, you have to make sure that your timing is perfect because, like I said, I noticed the little nuances that were missing, that were off key and off step. But once he went through the door and got to the stage, I felt like that's when the Argentine tango really came out of the dance. I felt like he was more in sync on stage, especially partnered with her. They kind of flowed a little bit more better than they did separately. Again, but it didn't deserve the score it got. It wasn't a 27 to me. I think he should have got a little bit lower just because of that out of syncness and the fact that it took maybe a minute into the dance for the real Argentine tango to kick in. So that's just my own personal opinion, though. Obviously, judges didn't feel that way.
Yeah, I just don't think he's that great of a dancer, and I think that for the past couple of weeks, they just keep giving him a better score than he deserves, and I mean, I don't know, I just don't agree with the judges anymore, and it's just super annoying. I mean, I agree with, like, their scores for Alexa this week, but I don't know, I'm just sad, and I'm over Carlos, and I'm over Alex.
Yeah, I loved the door concept, but as you said, there were sync issues with it. Usually I really like Carlos, but lately he hasn't been performing as well as I think he has at the beginning. So I've been a little disappointed because Whitney is my favorite professional dancer, so I'm always rooting for them, but I don't know, it wasn't as good this week, I don't think. So what about Bindi and Derek?
I know last week we bashed her for a lot, but this week I was just so happy it was just the two of them on the floor.
I agree.
No overproduction. There was nothing else. They gave me what I asked last week. I just wanted to see Bindi and Derek on the floor dancing. Of course, that stupid hype about the blindfold was unneeded. She was blindfolded for maybe all of 10 seconds. And Derek led her the whole way. So there was really no need for there to be any, like, hype about her dancing with a blindfold on, because she really didn't. But yeah, I mean, I agreed with the judges. I still continue to look for stuff that's wrong with her performances too. Just like the judges, I kind of nitpick her a little bit more, just because she is obviously going to make it to the finals at this point. It's pretty clear that the judges and everybody backs her. They want to see her in the finals, and she kind of deserves to be in the finals. But I don't know that she will win if she goes to the overproduction. That seems to be her downfall lately, especially with even the judges pointing it out. You know, they said it was nice to just see them two on the floor doing their dance and just being passionate and bringing it out, just them two. That's all we really need. We don't need anything else.
Right, well, and that's what is so annoying is, like, they made such a big deal, oh, Bindi's dancing blindfolded. It's like, come on. But I was really happy to just see them out there dancing, and I thought that they looked great, and, I mean, obviously she is going to be in the finals. She's one of the better dancers that are out there, so she deserves to be in the finals, but I don't know. I don't think she deserves to win, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, the blindfold thing was all over the place, and it was not worth hyping it up that much. It really was not. It was not even a big deal, but the dance I thought was really beautiful. I mean, I loved it, and I think she will definitely make it to the finals because she deserves to. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens as to how far she goes. So, as I said, Tamar and Val were judged on their rehearsal tape. So, what do we say about that?
Well, you can't really judge it. I mean, you can't judge it by the rehearsal because you can tell it's a rehearsal. There's lifts that aren't done because they knew it was a rehearsal. They weren't being judged. So it's kind of hard to judge the dance on that. But I mean, from what I saw, I think it would have been amazing live. I think she would have done an amazing job, and I think she definitely would have pulled it out. And contemporary is something that's so emotional, so, I mean, it kind of lacked that emotion on a dress rehearsal, so that's kind of what was missing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's stupid to do the dress rehearsal. I mean, I understand why they did it, and they wanted her to still be in it, and she's a, like, fierce competitor, and I really think she deserved to be in the finals, so everything that's unfolding is really sad for her, but like Charlotte said, like, it was just crap to do it at the dress rehearsal, so it kind of sucked.
Yeah, but I mean, that the first part of the dress rehearsal, I was like, oh, this is actually going to be really good, but I feel like she started getting tired, and I feel like it went down a little bit after that. But yeah, if you guys haven't heard, she has decided to leave Dancing with the Stars because turns out it was not pneumonia. She had pulmonary embolisms, so she had blood clots in her lungs, which is very, very serious. She said that she almost died. So, I mean, we completely understand why she's not on the show anymore, but it's just sad the way everything came about. So, finally, Nick and Sharna, what do we think of them?
I really liked that dance. It was a genuine quick step. That's what I look for in, you know, these types of dances. I look for what type of dance it is, and if it's portrayed in that dance. And, like, every movement in that dance was quick step. It was fast, it was upbeat, and it was everything you could want in that type of dance. So I really enjoyed it, and I thought that it deserved a perfect score, but apparently I was wrong.
I agree. I really loved it. I don't know all the movement things, but Charlotte's teaching me things, so, like, I know that how it's supposed to be, like, so I was really happy with it. I also think he deserves to be in the finals, and I, like, personally, I want him to win. For him and for his partner, because she's never won before, and I think she deserves it. I think she's great, and I think she does great choreography, and she just really deserves to win.
Nick's was my favorite of the night. I thought it was so good. I definitely think it deserved a perfect score, and I guess it didn't. Right? It didn't get a perfect score. Yeah, I think it deserved it though. But
I also thought that he was dancing next to two pros, and you couldn't even tell who was the pro. And I mean, that's pretty talented right there.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, as we said, this week was also showstopper performances. So, round 2 was their pair dancing with another contestant. So, it was 4 people per group. So, what did we think of those? First, we had Carlos and Whitney and Alec and Lindsay. They did We Will Rock You from Queen.
I mean, I liked kind of like the beginning aspect. I don't know. I like certain parts of it, but I just was not a fan of the overall dance. I just thought it lacked things, and I don't know. It was not my favorite of the night.
It was awful. It was just awful. I'm sorry. There was no the paso content was clearly done by the girls. That was it. The guys, when they were supposed to be on the floor by themselves, there could have been so much more to that. There could have been a whole lot that they, like Julian said, that they could have done on that floor with two guys like being hard and coming at each other, and it just wasn't there. They did like little stupid flips and stuff, and I was like, what is this?
Do you think that is a choreography thing, or do you think that was like their dancing thing? That's what I was wondering about that. Like, and who did the choreography? Did the 2 girls do the choreography?
The 2 girls did the choreography. They're the choreographers. They're the professionals, so they come up with the choreography. And it was clear that like that whole whatever weekend they went on, whatever cruise thing they went on, the boys played and the girls worked on the dance. You could tell.
So for me, I usually tend to like really look at the performance aspect rather than the actual dancing sometimes. So performance-wise, I feel like they kind of went all out, like with the drums and everything like that. But, you know, as you said, it doesn't seem like they worked on it enough, and their solo part was not as hard as it should have been. So I do agree with you on that. So what do we think about Bindi and Alexa's dance from Chicago?
It made me want to dance.
I loved it too.
It really did. Like when Julian said that, I had already tweeted it, and I was like, it seriously made me want to get up and dance. Like that's why I love jazz, because it's so upbeat and happy, and like, oh, I just loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. I thought that it was, I don't know, I just loved every aspect of it. And that's kind of like that's the only kind of dancing I've ever done is that kind of thing, because I was in like a pop swing jazz choir, and we did like that kind of thing. So I was really into it, and I loved like the costume aspect. I just loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved it too. I love Chicago so much. I love the songs from Chicago. So I was really excited when I found out they were going to do that. And, you know, they're just one of the best pairs that I could think of. So I knew that they were going to do a really good job. So finally we have Tamar and Nick's dance which was Hey Jude by the Beatles. So what did we think of that one?
I mean, I also love that one. I love the Beatles, so I was excited about them doing that. I think Tamar did amazing, and knowing what we know now about how sick she actually was, I was like, holy crap.
Like we saw in the beginning, they judged her off of her rehearsal tape, and they had no rehearsal tape for that pair dance because she left right after her individual dance. So I think that may have been the reason why she came back, because she didn't want to let Nick down. Because she knew that she and Nick had, you know, they carried that same score, and if she wasn't there to perform the dance, they may have even performed it just without her and had somebody else fill in for her, like another choreographer fill in for her, so Nick could have got judged. But I don't think that she knew that, and I think that she did not want to let Nick down, and that's why she came back, and I commend her for that. But obviously we judge on the dance. The dance was awesome. I'm not gonna, knock the dance at all. It was really, really good. But at the end, you could tell she shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, I felt so bad because I could just imagine how horrible she felt while doing that. So I definitely commend her for that. This is what bothers me, is that the show kind of made her situation into entertainment the entire night. So at the very beginning, Tom, who's the host, he was like, "Don't you just love live TV?" And I was like, this is someone's health that you're talking about. This is their real life, and you're making a joke of it. And then also when they were like, this is Tamar getting out of the car. Oh my gosh, she's getting out of a car. Like, calm down. This is not something you need to use for drama. And it was the same thing with the elimination. I was pissed when they showed that before the break thing because it was obvious they were trying to get ratings. And I still honestly think that they put Carlos and Alexa in the bottom on purpose. I don't think that they weren't the bottom two. They did it on purpose. And it pisses me off.
Yeah, me too. I'm so mad Alexa went home. She did not deserve to go home at all. Like, I don't even, like, I'm just doubting the, like, realness of everything, you know? Like, even the realness of how much your votes count. And, I mean, I know this is not, like, a presidential election, so it's not the end of the world, but it's just so frustrating.
It really is, especially when you root for somebody all season and they deserve to go to the finals, and then this happens. And it's not the first time it's happened to Mark. It's happened to Mark several times with several other, you know, really good people who he should have went to the finals with and got eliminated. And then there's others that he makes it to the finals with that he doesn't deserve. So it's like, I mean, it's just so frustrating because it's literally all popularity. It's all about, you know, it's all about who you know in this world, and that's just all it boils down to.
Yeah. So as you can see, we were very upset with this week's results, but we will come back next week to let you know what we think. So they're talking about possibly bringing Alexa back, but we don't know how realistic that is. But we will keep you updated and let you know next week what we thought of Dancing with the Stars.
This week's Song of the Week is by a country artist who also served for our country. This week we chose George Strait's Let It Go. George Strait is a country music icon, having sold more than 1 million records worldwide. He is an honored member of the Country Music Hall of Fame, and he has received the CMA Entertainer of the Year Award 3 times and the ACM Entertainer of the Year Award twice. He has been nominated for more CMA and ACM awards than any other country artist, having had the most number 1 hits, 44, on Billboard's Hot Country Songs charts, surpassing Conway Twitty's 40. But the reason we featured him is because he is an Army veteran of the Vietnam War. So what did we think of this latest song?
I love George Strait. He's very classic country. He's very, I don't know, he's just like the image of what country music used to be. And I think this song just plays right into that.
For me, when I first heard it, like maybe like the first 5 bars of it, I was like, this is too country for me. I am just not, like, I'm so new to country, but after about, after maybe the first or second verse, I started to really, like, get into it, and I was like, okay, I can listen to this, I can deal with this, so I liked it. I ended up liking it, so.
Yeah, I liked it. I'm off and on with country. There's some songs I like, some songs I don't like. But this song I really liked. I felt like I could listen to it while I was working, and I really like the message of the song. It's just kind of saying that, you can't take material things with you in life. You can't hold grudges. You just have to let things go and, just live your life. So I really like the message of it, and yeah, I like the song.
So we encourage you all to download his music on iTunes and check him out. He's a great artist. Like we said, he's had 44 number 1 hits, so you're bound to find something that you like. And, of course, we want to thank him for his service to our country, because without him, people like him, we would not be free today. So.
Okay, guys, that's our show. We hope you've enjoyed this installment of Through the Screen. If you did, be sure to like down below and also subscribe to the channel. We appreciate any feedback that you may have. We post new videos every week, and we'd love for you all to join us and tell your friends. Next week, we will be discussing a brand new topic, so you won't want to miss it. Until then, thanks for watching, stay informed, and we'll see you next time.